What's up, everybody? Welcome to the CheezeTalk podcast. I'm your host, Brian Rago. Today I'll be talking with Bernie Bango about mostly Packers, maybe some Milwaukee Bucks, even though this offseason I've been less than thrilled with them, but that's just my opinion. I'm sure he might share some thoughts on that. But before I get to my guest, I want to give a special shout out to the Open Network for letting me podcast under their umbrella. And their Twitter page, Ohana_Packers, is 31 followers away from giving away a signed 8x10 Jair Alexander photograph. Bernie, what's up?
Not too much, man. Just enjoying the heat wave that's come across our country. Just trying to stay cool. I got an 11-month-old baby at home, so it's been just enjoying fatherhood the last year. And just creating content when I can.
Yeah. Want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your little adventures?
Yeah. So about a couple years ago, I had just created a Twitter account and doing my thing, following Wisconsin sports, and a guy approached me from this little sports network, i.e. Sports Radio, and he just asked me would I be willing to do a sports podcast on all Wisconsin sports. And I told him I'd like to take a shot at that. And he's like, you can name your own show. And I did a brainstorming session, and I came up with Big Cheese Sports. And so I try to cover as much Wisconsin sports as I can, and that's a show I do every Sunday morning. 11 Central. I'm out here on the West Coast, so it's 9 a.m. in the morning for me when I do my show.
Sure.
I refer to myself as your favorite West Coast Wisconsinite. So I spent 21 years in the Army National Guard, and I did missions around the world and missions and stuff all around the country with the Guard, and so I kind of fell in love with a few different places around the country, and I just absolutely love the Pacific Northwest, and love being in the trees, mountains, or in the sea. And so this is where I ended up. But Wisconsin sports is something I've carried with me my whole life. It's you definitely find all the other sports addicts in the military, and everyone's got their teams, but you all bond over sports. So it's something that helped me get me through my military career, that bond of being a sports fan. So, now this is this way for me to show my passion for sports and how it's helped me through some tough times in my life, deployments to Iraq and stuff like that. Getting to sit in a bunker and watch, a Packers game on some crazy satellite, some crazy, Middle Eastern satellite you picked up and rigged up on the side of your bunker, man. So Packers games have brought me together, brought guys together in some of their toughest times in life. And so I don't know. So I'm also a former school teacher, and so I'm kind of trying to find a new path. I resigned from the teaching world after this year. So I'm a free agent. I'm out there searching for my next career. And I would love to be, for some of that, to be, in a studio more often and recording and finding sponsorships and endorsements and my content that I create. So I'm still finding my voice and my practice and stuff like that. And it's part of the grind. But so I have Big Cheese Sports. That's kind of like my baby, my bread and butter. That's like, it's just me now. I tried co-hosting for a bit, but it's like I have like this vision for it, and that vision is growing, and I try to find a new and unique angle to talk about Wisconsin sports, because there's a lot of content out there, and I want to create something unique,
right.
That's what I'm trying to do with it, but it's that process of finding your voice. But through that process, I also got reached out to by a group called Game On Wisconsin, and they have a few Packer podcasts. And during the regular season, it's almost a daily thing. Monday through Friday daily, and on game days. But I do a show on Monday evenings with Umar Desai, and that show is called Coast to Coast Packers. And that's one that I'm really proud of. Ummer and I, we see the game differently. We have different personalities, but down deep when it comes to the nitty gritty of who we are as human beings, we're really open minded and accepting people, and we just mesh. We have different types of personalities, and so it's been working really well because of how he views the game and talks about it, and how I view the game and talk about it. And so I actually absolutely love working with Ummer. So shout out to Ummer Desai and
Absolutely.
And the work that we're doing with Coast to Coast Packers. That's one that we're starting to get some nice guests on, and we're seeing those viewer numbers go up. And so we're trying to put a little more effort towards that because we're thinking we're coming close to maybe finding someone who might want to throw their ads into our show. But that shows that we have to keep working at it, and so that's something I'm really really proud of. Something that I've been working on is Coast to Coast Packers, and then also you mentioned this other project I have going on. It started off as Cheesehead Until I'm Dead, and now it's Beer and Cheese is All I Need, and so that started with Pro Sports Fans. They asked me to do Packer games last year, and I live streamed some games, and I'm still chipping away at some content from them from time to time. But it's hard, being a new dad, also looking for a new job to create the content that I want to. So, right. Cheesehead Till I'm Dead. It's kind of funny. It's kind of like my back burner project. But I also kind of am like experimenting with that account. It's kind of my burner account now. I'm like trying ways of how to grow a following, different methods to get those follower numbers up. So it's kind of a burner account, but it's not like I'm out trying to troll people with it or do anything mischievous with the account.
Right.
It's just like. Yeah, but I would love to work to put more effort into that for Pro Sports Fan. I know some people are starting to make a little money through them, and but it's just like I have these other projects I'm really passionate about, and so it's there. I slowly chip away at it, and I brainstorm, and we'll see where I get to it. But that's kind of what I'm making. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm on X, obviously, or Twitter, and just doing what I can. And it's been fun. It's been a really fun, couple of years that I've been working towards this. And sometimes I try not to get too down on myself because there's some times where I'm like, I feel like I'm grinding and it's not going anywhere. But then I have to remember what brought me here to do this. And it was just like the passion for sports. It's my love of the game. My love of connecting with other people and hearing their stories about why did they become a fan, and maybe some other times in life, because I know I'm not the only one who's had like sports, whether they're an athlete or something they watch, maybe help them through a tough time or just become a good, a positive memory or a life memory or core memory. That's what sports does for us. And I like to celebrate the game and celebrate the fans.
Absolutely. Yeah. You mentioned Amar. He's one of my favorite guys to follow. He's straight to earth. He doesn't give a shit about anything. I mean, he does, but he's like not afraid to like stand up for what he thinks is right. And not only with his sports opinions, which are really, really, excellent opinions, and his view of the game is awesome, especially football. And then sticking up for fellow Packer backers.
Yes.
You see people getting picked on Twitter, and he's one of the first guys you go to click and see, someone's getting harassed, to see the comment section. He's one of the first ones in there defending a fellow Packer, anybody in general, but I see mostly with the Packer fans,
Yeah.
So great guy.
Yeah, and he's so great. And it was just like by complete luck that him and I, another buddy of mine, Robin Adams, him and I collaborate and do some work as well. We occasionally record a podcast called Brew Fathers, and that's where we talk about fatherhood and Brewers baseball. Me and him both have really busy schedules, so that's like hit or miss when we can record. But I absolutely love working with Robin. Him and I just actually finally recently met in person. I came back to visit Wisconsin, and we met at a Brewers game. I brought my wife and my baby, and he brought his son, and so we just hung out, man, and got to meet each other. And then but Robin originally was approached to ask to co-host with Ummer and for Game On Wisconsin, and at that time, Robin just wasn't ready to commit to doing it to weekly, like setting in a time. And he's just like, I had a bunch of other stuff going on, and so he kind of had passed it my way. And he's just like he recommended me, and I thank Robin. He's become a great friend of mine, especially since we met in person. Him and I are both really like-minded too, and Robin's one too on social media to stand up for what's right or stand up for people that are getting picked on. And so I thank Robin because he's like, hey, you should check out my buddy Bernie. He's probably a co-host. So this like an awesome friendly recommendation by a great dude, Robin Adams, landed me in a chance to get to meet Ummer and some of the people at Game On Wisconsin. And they're like, yeah, let's go for it. And Ummer and I are doing our thing. And we got a couple of big guests coming on next week on Coast to Coast Packers. On Monday, Shane Jansen from season 2 of Love is Blind on Netflix. I don't know if you've seen that reality show. But he's awesome, man. And he's going through like kind of like a transformation right now. I think he's just kind of like experimenting with like sobriety, and he's like working out. So he's kind of become like more of a fitness guy on social media and on reality TV. But he started out on Love is Blind, and he's originally from De Pere, Wisconsin, and he's a huge Packers fan. So we're gonna bring him on. He's just such a, it seems like an awesome guy, and he loves to talk about the Packers. So he's going to be on next week. And then on Tuesday, we're going to do a extra episode, and Tom Grossi is going to grace us with his presence on Coast to Coast Packers. So I got that to look forward to next week. And then after those shows, man, I'm going to go to San Diego for a week.
Awesome.
Enjoying the summer, man. I'm just like thinking about next week now. I'm like, dang, man, it's going to be a fun week.
It's not that far away.
No. No.
So, kind of like me too. I didn't start doing podcasting until like this spring. I just kind of like an idea, and I was approached from the Open Network.
Yeah.
And then I kind of just started doing it, and I don't really have like a set schedule. I try to do them on certain days, but whenever I accommodate whatever works best for my guest and works for me, because I have 5 kids. My oldest kid is 15. My youngest kid is 7. So with soccer and basketball and all this other stuff going on, and football coming up here soon, and coaching football, I'm crazy too. So I'm just happy when I can work out a date and time with somebody to be on. I get the occasional eye roll from the wife, like, I'm going downstairs to do a podcast.
I feel you there, man. My wife has been so supportive of this journey, but there are definitely times where if like I forget a date or time, or if like we're gonna record for an hour and then we have a guest that's like, I'm like, they want when we had Matt Ramage on. I love Matt, man, and we just were chopping it up and talking and laughing and having a good time, and all of a sudden I realized, like, man, we've been going for like an hour and a half, and we usually try to keep it to like an hour. And I remember I rolled downstairs, and she's like, just tell me when it's gonna go late, and I was like, it's on me, it's an easy text, but she's been so supportive, man, and she knows my dream and journey. It would have been my freshman year of college, way back in 2003. My freshman year of college, I was studying broadcasting and journalism. And this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to do sports radio, and I wanted to write sports like in a newspaper. I wanted to do that somewhere in the state of Wisconsin. But after my first deployment to Iraq, I went on this huge journey, a huge detour, man. And I struggled. Like, I'll be open and honest with it. I am with everybody. I struggled with alcoholism. a lot of that was connected to my time in the service, my time overseas. And I couldn't find a moderate level of alcohol. I couldn't find a positive relationship with alcohol anymore. And so I just cut it out of my life 3.5 years ago. And it's really crazy that since I stopped drinking, that a lot of my dreams and hopes and goals that I had before I guess became an alcoholic, they started coming back up to the surface of like, hey man, this is what you were doing before you got carried away with all this other stuff. And
Right.
it was hard to catch myself because I was one of those people who was like a functioning alcoholic, right? Like I could work a full-time job and then I would come home and that's all I would do every evening is drink. But I could wake up, go to work, I could always do my job. But then I realized, man, a lot of the jobs I was doing and the career path I was on, I was like, this isn't what I want to be doing. When I quit drinking alcohol, like I had like this clairvoyance all of a sudden of like, whoa, man. So the last 3.5 years have been a lot of changes in my life. And, I also got out of the military during that time. And so it's been a roller coaster, man, so to have these dreams come up. So I'm feeling like a kid again. And I'm not trying to have any regrets of like losing those dreams and having this detour, because I feel like I wouldn't have like this view of sports. I wouldn't have like these life experiences had I just been like, I'm doing sports from the get-go and this is all I'm doing. And if I would have just stuck to it, my life would look a lot different, and I would probably be further along in the industry. But now I have life experience, life stories. I've seen a lot of the world. I've met a lot of awesome people. And I'm just like, this is where I am in my journey right now. And I'm just learning how to really be present with myself. Because I recently saw something that said the reason why it's so hard for us to be happy is because we're so concerned about like our goals are like our happiness. Like I got to achieve this down the road. I got to do that to achieve happiness. And we're putting happiness on these short-term and long-term goals. So our happiness is always in the future and we're forgetting to be happy in the present, like present now. And when you can find ways to be presently happy, it makes that you can achieve the future happiness easier, in my opinion. But so yeah, that's where I am right now, man. I'm just enjoying the journey and just loving the people that I'm meeting along the way.
For sure. I know you mentioned the sobriety. November 1st will be 3 years for me. So
congratulations, man.
I don't even, doesn't even faze me anymore. I just don't even care.
Yeah.
I like alcohol. No thanks. I'll have a water or, a caffeinated beverage or coffee, or just, I have too much to lose if I were to get, because I already have one DUI. I got that when I was 22 years old. I don't need, to lose a job or, my family,
Yeah, exactly.
There's too much to lose. That's one of the reasons why I got into coaching was because I coach youth basketball, soccer, and I'm going to be helping coaching football. And just the people that I've met doing that, I consider friends now. I actually live in De Pere. I'm from Madison, but my wife is from De Pere.
Okay.
So we got married and lived in Madison for about a year. Then we moved north. We've been here for 16, 17 years. So yeah, but small world. But yeah, it's definitely, I don't have any urge to drink at all. So congrats to you as well, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. I definitely still get the urges from time to time, but sometimes though it's like in a positive, I see it in more of a positive light. If I'm eating like a really nice steak, sometimes I'll be like, man, I used to pair this with this wine, or sometimes after like a long like hike, like a cold beer just like goes so good after a long hike. And if I could be a person where like that's the one drink I'm having that day, I would probably still be a drinker. But I'm like a can of Pringles, man. Like once I pop, I can't stop. And
yeah, I was the same way. And I didn't like warm alcohol, so I had to drink it when it was cold.
Yeah.
Like I get done with my beer and there's still, condensation and it's cold from being in the fridge,
But it's like, and I know it's like part of the culture in Wisconsin, and you know, I like if people celebrate that culture still too. You know, how much they can drink, and you know, you always see the thing of like the 20 drunkest counties in the country, or like 20 out of the 25 drunkest county stuff. And the thing is, I used to be one of those people that would celebrate that too and brag about that. I'm not going to lie. And so when people still do that, I'm just like, man, like I can't say anything, you know, because like I was that person that used to brag about that. And I just hope that those people stay safe with their drinking, because you know, like you said, like there's times that with my drinking as well, there was some predictions I put myself in and some moments that I'm like, that could have gone a different way, and it could have been like it's like terribly wrong, you know, like life changing or life ending. And I'm just like, no, man, it's like it's clear that I'm just one of those people that just shouldn't have, you know, a relationship with alcohol.
Right.
And all the power to the people that have it under control and they're good to go. But if for you that don't, I hope someday you find your peace with it.
Yeah, it's definitely devastating, some of the things you see on the news and see within your friend circle and family and everything. But how we want to talk about Packers?
Let's talk about Packers, man. All right. No, we got into the life journey there.
That's fine. Packer sports and life. It's all. I'm all for it, man. Whatever we talk about, it's fine with me. I don't care. I'll deal with anything. What are your thoughts on the draft this year, and who was your favorite pick?
It's a project in the first round again. You know, that's kind of my only quarrel with that pick. There are some people that don't think Jordan Morgan's going to turn out. I think he will, but it's probably going to be as a guard. And there's some people that are going to be upset with that. Because if you're picking an offensive lineman in the first round, it should be like a left tackle. But it looks like he'll probably move inside eventually. But overall, I really like the draft. I think Edgerrin Cooper is one of my favorites. It's probably number one favorite. But another guy I really like that we picked up was actually Michael Pratt, the quarterback out of Tulane, like for a late round pick. I think he might beat Clifford out in the preseason. That's actually going to be fun because Clifford is a baller. Sometimes in practice, he doesn't look that great, but like he games when he's on that field. And so we'll see. It's going to be there's going to be a quarterback competition in Green Bay for the backup position, obviously. But Clifford, the Clifford Pratt duel is going to be fun. Edgerrin Cooper, though, he's a guy that I think the reason why I'd say he's my number one favorite pick is he's a guy that could end up being a defensive rookie of the year. He's going to be put in situations to play a lot of snaps. He's going to probably be put in pass coverage. He's going to get chances to blitz as well. So you're looking at a guy who could have sacks, forced fumbles, fumble recoveries, interceptions. He's going to get a chance to play all over the field for the Packers, and he's an athletic freak. He was an absolute, you know, our second round, we knocked it out of the ballpark with Javon Bullard and Edgerrin Cooper, two guys that you could see playing, you know, 60 to 75% of the defensive snaps, if not even more. So, but it's those first rounds. We keep getting all those first round projects. And then one other touch on the note is our seventh round guy that we got, Kalen King, right? He was a cornerback out of Penn State. At his junior year, he was a fringe first rounder, and he went back to college one more year, and it just like he had a really rough year, and his draft stock tumbled almost to the point where he fell completely out of the draft, and he fell into our lap in the seventh round. So to a guy that was almost first round worthy one year to have a tumultuous final college season and tumble almost completely out of the draft with Coach Hafley, who's a defensive back guru, you know, our new defensive coordinator. He's a defensive back guru. And he's a guy I think that could get into Kalen King's head, get him right, get him back on track. And I think he could turn the seventh rounder into, you know, probably a 2 or 3, you know, a CB2 or CB3 type player. Thing is, though, he's got to make the roster in year one because, you know, our cornerback room is actually a little more full than what I thought it would have been at this time.
Do you think? Well, first, what do you think about Marshawn Lloyd?
Oh yeah, man. Let me get to him. That might be, dude, see, this is the thing. There's so many, pieces to this draft. Marshawn Lloyd, man, there were some people out there that were saying he was the number 1, number 2 running back in the draft. Super shifty, right? I think he's going to be a player that we're going to be like early in the season. We're going to be like, why isn't he getting any touches? We're not going to see. I think Josh Jacobs is going to be cowbell or bell cow back, right? I think we're going to, like, early in the season, you might see Josh Jacobs getting a lot of the touches, but then maybe later in the season, you're going to see Marshawn Lloyd be implemented more. He's got to learn the offense, and you kind of see that sometimes with rookie tight ends and running backs. Their snaps will start to increase later in the season. Plus, you're going to want to save some juice for, in Jacobs in the playoffs. So that's why you want to start increasing those reps with Lloyd later in the season. But I think he's a player that I think after this season, A.J. Dillon might be expendable for the Packers. And it hurts me to say that because I absolutely love A.J. Dillon as a person, right? He's the mayor of Door County, and he's just brought his family into the community. He's been, he's become part of the community, right? And he gives back to the community, and he's just a really wholesome dude. But it's a business, and the way the Packers run their business is with Marshawn Lloyd. You'll see that if he looks sharp at any point during the season, A.J. Dillon might be out the door after next season. And we'll try to maybe bring back Emmanuel Wilson or draft another running back. But Marshawn Lloyd is a type of back that we generally might not. I mean, might be even more shifty than Aaron Jones. And but I'll miss Aaron Jones no matter what.
Yeah, it sucked for an hour there. Packer fans thought we had the best 1-2 combo in the league, and next thing you know, he's getting released, and he's like, oh, okay, he's going to Minnesota. Come on, man.
Yeah, it's and I hope he can stay healthy. I just feel bad because he's going to be playing behind JJ McCarthy or Sam Darnold, right? That's who's over there for the Vikings quarterback world right now. So he's gonna have to carry the offense for a bit there, I think. And I just hope he can stay healthy.
Yeah, you don't want to see him go to the Vikings, but at the same time, you don't want to see him be successful, at least against the Packers. Yeah. Anybody else, go ahead. But when it comes against the Packers or any, just wish him the best for everything he did, but it just sucked on how he went out,
Yeah. And, like that, like you said, it felt like the best 1-2 punch in the league, or it might have been one of the best 1-2 running back tandems ever if they both, have a type of season we know they're capable of having. Not to say that Marshawn Lloyd, man, in year 2, right? We'll see what he does in year 1. But there's a chance that the following season that Josh Jacobs and Marshawn Lloyd are the best tandem of running backs in the league.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I like the way Marshawn Lloyd plays. His body size, he puts a hit on people, and so did Aaron Jones.
Yeah,
but we'll just gotta try to keep Lloyd healthy, and I think they brought back AJ Dillon. I think more for like the leadership role in the locker room, kind of, and maybe they'll even bring him in like as a blocking fullback in pass situations or something like that.
Yeah, he plays on some special teams coverages as well, and he does a damn good job of that too. So, like you said, he's just a team guy. He's a leader, and I hope he sticks around as long as possible. But unfortunately, I think this might be the last year we have him.
Yeah, and if he does not come back to Green Bay, please don't stay in the North. Go somewhere else. Go somewhere where you're going to retire.
Yeah,
like Florida or Vegas or wherever.
Yeah, it was like when Jamal Williams went to the Detroit Lions. I was like, gosh, dang it, man. So I guess we're just like building a history of that, of like having these good running backs of ours going to NFC North teams.
Yeah. Do you think we have the deepest wide receiver room in the NFL?
I'm probably biased, but yeah, I think so. And it might not look like that right now, But I think, I think there's truth to it, but I think there'll be more believers and more truth to it as the season plays out. I was just talking with Ian Harditz from Fantasy Life Sports, and he's a big fantasy sports guru guy. And he's talking about how many people are talking about Dontavian Wicks and what kind of value he'll have for like fantasy football teams. Because we've seen, right? We saw it last year of like the type of plays that Dontavian Wicks can make, how good he is at getting open with the routes he can run. But the thing is, though, is with a healthy Christian Watson, healthy Romeo Doubs, and Jaden Reed, who's just electric in the slot, how many snaps is Dontavian Wicks is really going to be getting? So it's like already those four guys, man, you got to make sure you're getting them snaps because Dontavian Wicks, not only can he get open, he makes plays after the catch. So you want to get Wicks out there. So that's four wide receivers right there that you're planning to get touches. Then we also have Malik Heath and Bo Melton that you probably want to try to get touches as well. And then you try and work in Musgrave and Kraft at the tight end positions. Then you're like, holy crap, man. So, it's just like if you add Kraft and Musgrave, to like the wide receiver core, to pass catchers, Packers have the deepest. We have, one of the youngest still. And I think this year, as long as they all stay healthy, we could probably see an offense where we're changing the focus of who we're running the offense through week in and week out. We just might see something where like, Reed in the slot against this team, it's going to really match up well for us. And, or like getting swing passes and screen passes to Marshawn Lloyd, out in the flats is going to be big, going to be big money against this defense. And I think you're just going to see that with the coaching staff we have and the way LaFleur plans, the way he's building this team. The further we get away from the Rodgers era, the more pure form of LaFleur's offense we're going to see. Because when LaFleur and Rodgers were working together, Rodgers has his way. He has his brain, his knowledge, his wisdom, his ability, his ego that comes with him. And he's going to put his own twist into the offense, the way he sees his skills are best fit in the offense. I can't blame him. When you're one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, you're probably going to do that. But Love, he's willing to put his ego aside, I think, and really come together with the coaches and let's run this offense that we have with all these great young weapons right now. And I just think this offense is going to look electric, right? Those last 10 weeks that Love played last year were fantastic. He's going to look, I think partway into this season, he's just going to look fantastic. We have all the weapons around him to do it. I think just piecing together the offensive line, like getting that solidified. We have all the pieces. It's just where are they going to settle on that offensive line?
Right. And I think, too, since the Rodgers era, we can definitely see a clearer picture on LaFleur and why he was brought to Green Bay.
Yeah.
He's from that Shanahan tree, and you have that road bump in between that's stopping you from running the team the way you want to run it. What are you going to do? Be in the media saying you're not going to, cooperate with your quarterback?
Yeah.
That's going to make fans want you not the head coach, and I just think that Love is better fit for the system than Aaron Rodgers was,
Yeah.
And I like the game plan that Matt LaFleur does. It's like against the Cowboys. I mean, holy crap.
Yeah, man. I got that. So I got that game on like my DVR, or like I have Fubo TV, and like you can save, games. You just like pick the teams that you want. They'll save all the games, and I have that one saved on there, and that's one I'll dial up every once in a while and watch that. Like sometimes it'll just be the first half because like we knew after that first half that one was in the bag, and that's a fun one to watch. But that's I think we're going to see more of that. We're going to see more of that in the playoffs. While sometimes it felt like with Rodgers, it was always a real struggle to win playoff games.
Yeah, it's. I try to think past those days, but sometimes it's hard. You catch yourself thinking about them, and if he would have had Jordan Love in there, he would have used his feet to get the first down instead of trying to throw the ball 6 yards. Where Rodgers, if he'd have tried to run later on in his career, would have gotten caught by a D tackle or a linebacker. He would have maybe gotten sacked and fumbled the ball, or just something. It had to happen. We had to move on with Love. There's just no question about it,
Yeah.
And
I love everything Rodgers has done for our organization. I hope there's a homecoming. I hope there's like a statue or a plaque, or if they want to retire his number. I hope he comes back and we celebrate his time with us. And whether you agree with the way he views things in the world or whatever, or the way he went about the whole pandemic stuff and the that whole scenario, to me, man, I'm like, however you want to live your life, man, like that's fine. I would try out a darkness retreat, man. Honestly, I would try it out. I'm that guy, So I hope we have that with Rodgers someday. But here's the thing: when he was a little bit younger quarterback, and he bought into the system a little bit more, right? With McCarthy, that's when we went on that tear and won that Super Bowl. Right? He really bought into that offensive system. He was getting the ball out of his hands into the playmakers. That's late in that season into the Super Bowl. That's when Jordy Nelson was really starting to break out as well. It's that was a fantastic run, man, of games. And the thing is, though, is people grow and change, and Rodgers changed as a person. And like you said, it was just time for a new era, and I'm rather enjoying the era of Love.
Yeah, and not having is he going to show up or is he not going to show up? We know Love's going to be here. The whole team was pretty much here for all the offseason OTAs and stuff, Even Jair was here.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, Jair was there when Rodgers didn't show up. And that's like setting the example for those guys. I think it was Jair's rookie year, Rodgers didn't show up. And so that's like setting the example for these guys, And so, when Love is like, oh, I'm all in, like you said, Ja followed suit. And just his body language, the way he's talking and interviewing, he's so bought into this. I'm so excited. But the big thing is now for the Packers is to get this Love contract done, because we don't want that to drag on and have Love start sitting out scrimmages or preseason games because of the contract not being done.
Right. I think it'll get done before the season.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, and he's about to get paid. I'm thinking up to like $60 million a year at this point. Because was it Trevor Lawrence got $55 million a year? Was like that, or 55, 57 a year? Like if Trevor Lawrence is getting that money, Jordan Love is going to get a little bit more a year.
Yeah, that's just good and bad. It's good for Love, but it's bad for the salary cap.
Yeah, and the longer we wait, the higher that price tag is going to go. So it's like, come on, brass tacks, man, let's get to business.
Yeah, right. Who is your all-time favorite Packer?
Ooh, this is a tough one for me. So for a long time, it was Aaron Rodgers. It was Brett Favre for a long time, and then it kind of became Aaron Rodgers. But I kind of feel just like my current employment situation. I'm a free agent, I think. So, let me think. Maybe like BJ Raji, a guy like BJ Raji could fill that. I'm a big Gilbert Brown fan. I love defensive linemen. I feel like the 90s aesthetic and early 2000s aesthetic of defensive linemen, where they used to have the visor, the neck roll, right? I love that. Gilbert Brown was on our Super Bowl team with Favre. I love Desmond Howard. Love those special teamers, right? He was the Super Bowl MVP.
Yep.
So thinking about guys like that, if I had to pick one, actually, if I'm going to go defensive side and say my favorite Packer, and I wish he would have been a Packer longer, and that would be Charles Woodson. Dude, like some of the, like when he was defensive player of the year for the Packers, you know, I remember seeing the shirts that came out that said the earth is covered by two-thirds of the earth is covered by water. The rest of it's covered by Charles Woodson.
Yep.
And so I was really sad because it was like late in the second quarter of that Super Bowl, right? He was diving to make a play and broke his collarbone and was out for the second half of the Super Bowl. You know, that Steelers don't make that comeback, right? They were on a drive to try to take the lead in the fourth quarter. Packers got the stop, obviously, but I don't think it gets to that point if Charles Woods stays out on that field running that defense, because he was just dynamic. And
I think his halftime speech kind of lit the fire.
Yeah.
So in a way, he was out there the second half by giving that speech at halftime, you know.
I like that. He was out there. Yeah. No, man. I would have to go with Charles Woodson right now. But here's the thing. If Love sticks around and Love wins the Super Bowl, I can tell you by his demeanor, just the way he carries himself. Love, I think, is a guy that could become my favorite Packer over time.
Last winter, he got a girl stuck out of a snowbank.
Yeah,
in Green Bay, and he was on his way to the airport or something like that, and he stopped and helped her out.
Yeah, that's the type of guy he is, you know. And when he gets hit by questions from the media about him, his answers are always about the team, you know.
Yep.
And I just love, like, they ask, well, you did this and you did that. It's immediately like, oh, you had this touchdown pass. Well, so and so ran an awesome route, and you know he got his hands on the ball and you know, won it in the air. And he's always talking about his teammates, you know, and so it's just like, you know, I just love that. And Rodgers was like that more. If you go listen to Rodgers early in his career, he definitely had that about him. Something about Love, though, tells me that he's going to stay that way. You know, it's like the same with Favre, you know, and Rodgers. Some things, you know, like cheese and wine, get better with age. You know, typically NFL quarterbacks do not age well with cheese or age well with time. Maybe Tom Brady is like the exception to the rule, but yeah, I don't see Love. Whatever reason, I don't see Love going down that road. Right.
No, because I have to be on at 6:00 my time. So I got 2 more questions for you, but maybe we'll have to work out doing a part 2 show. I have some more questions for you. We'll off air. I'll message you and some dates I have open, and we'll try to maybe get you on for a little bit longer. I apologize, but I got my 2 boys soccer team I have to coach tonight. So
you're good, man. I'm sorry, I was a handful of minutes late myself. So
we'll definitely get a part 2. Sit down with you and discuss more questions. How do you view the NFC North finishing this year? I have Green Bay, Detroit, Minnesota, and Chicago.
That's how I have it too. Maybe Chicago in third. I think the offense in Minnesota is going to be atrocious. I don't think J.J. McCarthy or Sam Darnold are the answer in Minnesota at all. I think it's going to be the Packers Lions. That's going to be tough, man. The Packers and Lions winning the division, but I think the Packers are going to kind of be a surprise and pull that out. So yeah, I got Packers. I'm going to go Packers, Lions, Bears, Vikings, just to be different.
Yeah. And then what do you think? I have them finishing 12-5.
I can see that. I'll go 12-5. I had them as high as 14-3. And one of my thoughts and predictions, but 12-5, I think that's more grounded, more realistic because there's a couple trap games out there. There's a couple games that we're gonna lay duds. So 12-5. I'll go with you and say 12-5 as well.
Perfect. Well, listen, this is just part one of our episode. We'll get part two figured out, and we'll let our audience know. But where can people find you at?
Can find me on X at Bernie Bango. You can find me on Instagram at Bernie.Bango, and find me on TikTok at Bernie_Bango. If you just search Bernie Bango, you'll probably find me. And if you want to look me up on Spotify, you can look up Game On Wisconsin, and that's where you'll find Coast to Coast Packers, or look up Big Cheese Sports. And you can find me on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and on YouTube. I think there's some other ones out there too, but it's hard for me to keep track of it all.
You have to have like a list written down so you can just read off the script,
That's what I need. I need to get a slide so I can present it right on StreamYard. Be like, just read it for yourselves.
Right. Well, listen, Bernie, I appreciate it. I'll be in touch with you about part two, okay?
Sounds good, Brian.
All right. Take care, buddy. Go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go.